do you see any pros and cons with your audience in the way that you have been able to educate about trauma and the nervous system and the role that everything kind of plays together? And what are some of the good things and some of the things you think people can do better?
Ooh, that is a good question, Nick. I feel like I never get asked that. I've been waiting to get on this soapbox for forever now. No, I really am. I love that you asked me that, because here's what I think about that. I think there is a pro to it. I think so much therapeutic language and so many experiences are being brought to the forefront, and just so many people feel less alone in that, right? Like I feel like even talking about my own childhood trauma and my content and stuff, and my own experiences being a mom who had all of these traumatizing experiences, what I've learned is, one, like I am so far from being alone in my experience, and at some point in time in my life I felt completely alone, like, oh my gosh, no one else is going through this, I'm a freak, I'm weird. I had so much shame around. And I think so many people feel so much shame around their experiences, particularly their experiences with mental illness or their experiences with trauma. And so I think people being out there and talking about it is just such a huge benefit to everybody who can feel connected and feel like they have a better understanding of what's happening inside of them. I feel like they also have so much more access to things that people would have never had access to before.
That's a good point.
And, I went to a workshop with Bessel van der Kolk, who is, big, huge trauma expert. And he had talked about how he worked with teen moms and how they had done all of this research around trauma. And he had created this program basically for teen moms where people come in and they help the teen mom, like, who had been through all this trauma herself, understand how to parent, right? Because they don't know what to do, and how that program ended up needing to be stopped because there wasn't enough money for it. But that there's basically all of this trauma all the time, all of this research being done around trauma all of the time. And there's all these people that are doing all these peer reviewed journals and everything, but it's not accessible to the people who actually need it. Because, maybe somebody who's a therapist who's going to go get their master's degree and spend tens of thousands of dollars on getting this education is going to be able to access it. And then people who spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on therapy, on going to somebody in private practice, they might be able to learn some of it. But the people who genuinely need the access to it don't have the access to it. So I feel like content creation is such a beautiful way that is being done. Like, people who would have never been able to understand a concept before because they're not going to read this like 200-page book with all this therapeutic language are able to just like have it broken down for them easily in like a 30-second clip, right? So that's my pros. Cons. So many people are out there telling you things, and they're saying they're acting as an expert, they're showing up as an authority, they're showing up as an authority. I mean, there are life coaches out there that have zero training. And I hate to be the typical therapist who like goes after the life coach, right? But they're charging people hundreds of dollars for 400, more than any therapist is charging. And they might have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. And they're saying these things, and they're not accurate. Like, they're not an expert. They're not trained. They're not trained to work through these traumatic experiences with people. And in the end, that can cause really great harm. So I think that would be a negative of it. The other thing is that like the algorithm prioritizes extremes. And so it's really hard to have nuance in a post.
Oh, boy, I know that very well.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you do have nuance, your post is probably not going to get shown, or it's going to get trolled or whatever. It's like nuance is not acceptable. They want extremes.
Well, and I think that is a very good segue in a moment here to what we're going to talk about.
Yes. Okay.
And why I asked you on, which I'll give a background to. But I actually think I hadn't thought of that before, but I think the coaching I have, like I dabbled a little bit in coaching, and I felt like some of the people that were trying to work with me wanted a therapist. And it's like, I can't be that. Like, I don't want to pretend to be that. Like, I can help you with some practical, like, things that I've learned that have worked for me, but like I don't want people to think that. And I think the problem with that, and I've noticed this just everywhere on social media, is you can convince people, and maybe you even are in some cases, you're an expert on something just by acting like an expert on something. And my favorite thing of all time was after Love is Blind, I would get a lot of people DMing me for relationship advice. I'm like, you guys, I'm 35. I had to go on a reality show to have a relationship that ended in a marriage. Like, I don't know if I'm the right guy to be asking for relationship advice, like TBD. But it
Oh my
was
gosh,
like
I
that
love that.
perceived. Oh my God, I'm like, I literally would sit there and be like, why do people think I'm the person to ask relationship advice for? But it was like that perceived, you're an expert because you were on a reality show, right? And I think that it kind of taught me that you can pretend to be an expert or have some expertise in something, and you don't even have to have anything but that perceived idea, and people will follow you and buy from you. And now you've got the coaching industry, which I've lots of friends that are coaches, and they do great work, and they're not moonlighting pretending they're a therapist or something.
Yep.
So,
Exactly. Yep.
and the other reason I like to talk about that is my friend, Dr. Isabel Morley. She wrote a book called "They're Not Gaslighting You," which she's talking about like the way therapy speak is thrown out by everyone. Like, everyone's ex is a narcissist. And so I had
Yes.
her. Yeah,
I love
I
that.
had her as a guest to talk about the book. This was months ago now, probably January, February. And so whenever I have a mental health professional of any kind on, I like to get their take on it. Like, what are the good and bad? Because I think it's probably a net positive that we have so many people that are open to talking about therapy. But I also see many of times, and even have people in my life where they're like, oh, they were such a narcissist. I'm like, really? Or did you just disagree? Like,
Yeah, that is such a good, yeah, like therapy speak is being so weaponized, and that really, when you call someone a narcissist, when we think about the reality of it, like narcissistic personality disorder, there's very small percentage of people that have
yeah,
that, right? And so it's like, but if you call them a narcissist, what does that mean? It's like an immediate, like there's no hope for them, right? So I don't have to figure out how to do this connection thing. I can just call you a narcissist and boom, like I win, right? Because you can't win against you're a narcissist. Like you're just a
no.
narcissist.
What
So
do
I
you
think
say?
that does happen a lot, and I think it's dangerous and harmful.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. So it's interesting. It's very interesting because like I do really think it's a net positive. I can tell you, like, before I felt at the very beginning of all of this, when I started deciding I wanted to talk about mental health, it was very much like, oh, like a year and a half ago, I didn't talk to anyone about this stuff. Now I'm going to talk to the whole world about it. Like, how times have changed and how I have changed, and how, I'm much more comfortable with the parts of me that I used to be very uncomfortable with. So those things I think are good when people are speaking about it. But I do also think there's a lot of people that take advantage of it and manipulate people, as you said. And that's the downside, right? There's a dark side to every moon. Thank you for listening to this clip from the full episode of Eyes Wide Open. Please like and subscribe for daily clips and new episodes that drop every Tuesday. I appreciate you.